Bonjour! You have reached the stage where you feel that your French is a little too childish. You want to step up your game. How do you do that? This is part 2 of how to improve your style in French essay writing. And in part 1, I shared my 5 tips to help you to make your essay flow better. So today we'll focus on how to avoid repetitions with my 7 tips. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! Repetitions make your essay monotonous, and this also shows that you don't have a wide range of vocabulary. So my very first tip is to use synonyms. What is a synonym? A synonym is a word which means the same or almost the same thing as another one. Here are some examples of synonyms. I have selected 3 words which I see in essays all the time. The first one is more. Whenever you want to say more, you'll always say plus or plus de. But there's another word which is davantage. And if you say plus de, then it will be davantage de. The other word is when. You'll love to say quand, but there's also another one which is lorsque. Funny, you use funny a lot as well. And it's always amusant, drôle, which you tend to say, but we could say divertissant for a change. Okay, I mean, there's many examples of synonyms, but I wanted to show you the ones that you use all the time. My second tip is the use of pronouns. Don't forget to use pronouns. What is a pronoun? A pronoun is the word which replaces a noun. So very often you tend to repeat the name of the person, but you forget that you have he or she or it or they or him or her or them. These are the ones that you have to use in French. Don't forget to use your pronouns. My tip number 3 is use the latter. Sometimes you have to use it. I'm going to show you how. The latter in French is ce dernier if the thing or the person you are referring to is masculine, or cette dernière if it's feminine. Here's an example. L'auteur a parlé du téléphone. The author talked about the phone. Ce dernier a en fait des effets néfastes. The latter has in fact negative effects. So here, ce dernier is better to use it here because if you say il in French, we don't know if you're talking about the author or if you are talking about the telephone. In English will be different because telephone would be it as opposed to he, but in French is il. So to avoid the confusion, you're going to say ce dernier. Ce dernier a en fait des effets néfastes. My tip number 4 is avoid homophones. Homophones are words which sound the same but have a different meaning. Here's an example. Tu vois le vert vert qui va vers le vert, etc., etc. As you can see here, if you were to write something with that kind of repetition, it would be really annoying. Don't you think so? Tip number 5, avoid repetitions of sounds. This is what I mean. For example, selon les informations reçues, la solution ne convient pas à la situation dans cette organisation. As you can see, it doesn't sound quite nice because of the repetition of the sound sion. Information, solution, situation, organisation. We're talking about sound, but also words. For example, here we have en effet, ce médicament a des effets secondaires. Here you have a sentence with effet twice. However, those two words mean different things. The first one, en effet, means indeed, and the second one means effect. So indeed, this drug has side effects. That's what you want to say. How can you change that? You could say something like ce médicament a certainement des effets secondaires. So here we are going to have certainement, which means here in this context, definitely. We can't change the other word, effet secondaire, because effet secondaire means side effects. So we have to keep that, but we remove indeed and put certainement. My tip number 6 is try to paraphrase. What does that mean? To paraphrase is to express the author's ideas using your own words, and I do mean your own words. Here's an example. This is what I have written, so imagine is the author's ideas, okay? L'Internet a facilité des échanges d'idées entre les populations du monde en un temps record. In English, it means the Internet has facilitated the exchange of ideas between people around the world in record time. So now we're going to see how we could paraphrase the original version. Here's a possible version. It's not the only version. L'Internet a permis aux personnes dans le monde d'exprimer leurs idées très rapidement. In English, it means the Internet has enabled people around the world to express their ideas very quickly. So let's see the two versions together so that you can see what has changed. So, a facilité des échanges, les populations et en un temps record. This is what really I changed. And you have a permis, and then a permis d'exprimer, and then you have personne instead of population, and then you have très rapidement instead of en un temps record. This is tip number 7, which is my last tip, which got to do with to be and to have. How can we replace to be and to have in French? Because you love those words so much. The first example, le taux de chômage est de 24%, or le taux de chômage est plus de 24%. The rate of unemployment is 24% or is more than 24% in English. So how can we change le taux de chômage est? We can just say le taux de chômage s'élève à 24%. And for le plus de, we're going to say dépasse 24%. In English, it will be the rate of unemployment amounts to 24% or exceeds 24%. For example, you want to say cette entreprise a environ, and you have a number of employees. You could say cette entreprise compte environ, and then the number of employees. If you want to say, for example, les femmes ne sont que 10% des salariés, talking about the same company, for example, you could come up with les femmes ne représentent que 10% des salariés. So women only represent 10% of the employees. You want to talk about an increase, and of course you will only think of il y a plus de, or a decrease, il y a moins de. How can you say that differently? Well, for the increase you can say la France connaît une hausse, and for the decrease you can say la France connaît une baisse. These are expressions you can learn by heart, connaître une hausse and connaître une baisse. And each time you want to talk about to rise or to decline, you can use those expressions. Another example, le sport a une place importante dans ma vie. Sports are an important part of my life. What can we say? We could say something like le sport occupe une place importante dans ma vie. Sports play an important role in my life. So you need to learn the expression occuper une place. Occuper une place. And very often it's occuper une place importante. Very often students would start a sentence with il y a and then something qui. Il y a une récente étude qui plus a verb. Okay. Basically, you just need to say une récente étude à souligner, since that's what you want to say, really, a recent study highlighted. Il y a une récente étude qui, it's a bit too heavy. It's much better to say une récente étude à souligner, whatever. What about this last example? J'ai du temps libre cette semaine. Of course, this is what you will say when you talk, but you can say it or write it differently, shall I say. Je dispose de temps libre cette semaine. So here I have used the verb disposer, which is followed by the preposition de, disposer de, which just means to have. So you can see that we can't change the style. It's just a matter of knowing the expressions or the verbs to use. I want to give you a little bonus to end this video, and I'm going to give you a nice little idiom. And that is cela saute aux yeux, which means it is obvious. We have come to the end of this video, and I hope it will help you to step up your game. If so, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir!